Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. The night is pitch black. A lone train cuts through the desolate Texas landscape west of the Pecos River. The year is 1912, and as the Southern Pacific locomotive makes an ordinary stop at Dryden Station, no one aboard realizes they're about to become part of the final chapter in America's Wild West train robbery era. What happens next will involve quick thinking, psychological manipulation, and brutal violence that leaves two notorious outlaws dead in pools of their own blood. And when it's over, the age of the train robber will be gone forever. Welcome to Southwest Desert. I'm your host, Alan, and today we're telling the extraordinary true story of the last train robbery. West of the Pecos. Even the name sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood Western. This harsh, unforgiving stretch of Southwest Texas was one of America's last true frontiers, a place where the law felt as distant as civilization itself. The region was infamous as a sanctuary for those running from the law. Its raw, rugged terrain made pursuit difficult. Hidden canyons provided natural refuge, and its proximity to the Mexican border offered convenient escape routes for anyone with a price on their head. It was precisely this lawless reputation that attracted a particular breed of outlaw in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And when the Southern Pacific Railroad drove its ceremonial silver spike in January 1883, connecting this remote territory to the outside world, it created an irresistible target. The Southern Pacific's Sunset Route connecting New Orleans to California was a marvel of engineering and a symbol of America's manifest destiny. But for opportunistic criminals, it represented something else entirely, a moving treasure chest, regularly carrying valuable shipments across an isolated landscape. The stretch between Del Rio and Sanderson became particularly notorious. Trainmen dreaded this route, with its isolated terrain and limited escape options. Natural features provided strategic advantages for ambushes, and settlements were few and far between. If trouble struck, help was nowhere to be found. Over the years, the Sunset Route earned a grim reputation as a prime target for train robbers. The infamous Black Jack Ketchum's gang once stole $6,000 in a single heist, the equivalent of over $180,000 today. Railway companies struggled to provide adequate security, and the robberies continued. But time was running out for this particular brand of outlaw. As America entered the 20th century, improved communications, better law enforcement, and changing technologies were making train robberies increasingly difficult to pull off successfully. Which brings us to the cold, dark desert night of March 12, 1912, and the stage for what would become the last major train robbery attempt on the Sunset Route. Our story's villains were no amateurs. Ben Kilpatrick, known as the Tall Texan, was a former member of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid's famous Wild Bunch gang. He had an established reputation in outlaw circles and was an experienced train robber with multiple successful heists under his belt. His partner, Frank Hobeck, commonly called Ole Beck, had formed a criminal partnership with Kilpatrick while both men were in prison. Clearly, their time behind bars had done little to convince them that crime does not pay. If anything, their long confinement had hardened them rather than rehabilitated them. As Southern Pacific Engine 709 made its routine stop at the isolated Dryden Station, Two masked men easily boarded the locomotive. They immediately held Engineer Grosh and Fireman Holmes at gunpoint, taking control of the engine. The robbers ordered the train to stop at a predetermined location called Baxter's Curve, evidence that this wasn't a spontaneous crime, but a carefully planned operation. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo messenger David Andrew Trousdale was stationed as guard of a valuable shipment, the critical target of the robbery. He was completely unaware of the hostile takeover happening in the engine compartment until he was unexpectedly confronted by the armed and masked Hobeck. The robbers methodically established control. They lined up the crew, searching them for weapons. In a classic train robbery technique, they uncoupled the engine and mail cars from the passenger coaches, deliberately leaving passengers stranded in the desert to eliminate potential interference. The working portion of the train was moved approximately 1 mile down the tracks for privacy. The experienced criminals divided their labor tactically. Kilpatrick strategically remained with the engine, maintaining their escape capability, while Hobeck forcibly escorted Trousdale and his helper Reagan to the mail car. But something was off about Hobeck. He was unusually agitated and unpredictable. His excessive cursing and aggressive threats toward the Wells Fargo agents went beyond typical robbery procedure. His erratic behavior suggested desperation, creating an atmosphere of extreme danger for his captives. This is where our story takes an unexpected turn. David Trousdale, the Wells Fargo messenger, quickly recognized the dire situation and the need for strategic action. A physical confrontation would be futile without the element of surprise. But as he observed Hobeck's psychological vulnerabilities and emotional state, he developed a sophisticated strategy based on psychological manipulation. What happened next demonstrated remarkable composure and quick thinking under extreme pressure. Trousdale carefully crafted a false alliance with the robber. He convincingly feigned cowardice and submission to establish himself as a non-threat. He artfully expressed resentment toward his Wells Fargo employer, delivering believable complaints about inadequate salary and poor treatment. "Wells Fargo deserves to be robbed," he reportedly told Hobeck, aligning himself with the robber's worldview. Through shared grievances, he gradually established rapport. It was a systematic process of gaining Hobeck's trust and lowering his defenses. Trousdale maintained a consistent narrative of bitter complaining, building credibility. He noticed Hobeck's transition from threatening to attentively listening. Strategically, Trousdale began pointing out potentially valuable items in the car, positioning himself as an unexpected fellow conspirator. He had created the illusion of having switched sides in the robbery, masterfully manipulating Hobeck's greed and overconfidence. And then came Hobeck's series of fatal mistakes. Completely failing to notice Trousdale discreetly concealing a large ice maul under his coat, he carelessly leaned his Winchester rifle against the side of the railroad car, removing the immediate threat. Fatally turning his back on his supposed captive while examining a potential valuable package, he became fixated on promised valuable loot, blinded by greed. It was a fundamental failure to maintain proper control of a hostage situation, and Trousdale seized his moment. With perfectly timed execution, Trousdale launched a surprise attack with the concealed ice maul. He delivered a single powerful and lethal blow to Hobeck's head. Contemporary accounts graphically described the outcome. What few brains Frank Hobeck had spilled over the baggage car. He had instantly neutralized the first robber with decisive action, transforming from apparent victim to determined defender. But the danger wasn't over. Kilpatrick was still out there, armed and dangerous. Trousdale methodically prepared for a confrontation with the second robber. He tactically distributed Hobeck's pistols to Reagan and mail clerk Bank while keeping the more powerful Winchester rifle for himself. The group carefully positioned themselves and settled in to wait for Kilpatrick, creating an impromptu defensive perimeter within the mail car. What followed was a psychologically tense, extended waiting period. Kilpatrick's continued absence created mounting tension. Trousdale's nerves reached what witnesses later described as a raw edge with the prolonged anticipation. Growing concerned about Kilpatrick's activities or potential escape, he finally fired a strategic shot through the roof to draw attention or provoke a response. It worked. The climactic final confrontation with the Tall Texan began with Kilpatrick's tentative calls for his partner. "Frank? Frank?" His hesitant approach and delayed investigation of the gunshot revealed his uncertainty. Eventually, he cautiously peered around the door, a critical moment of vulnerability. Trousdale demonstrated remarkable marksmanship under extreme pressure, firing a single precise shot to Kilpatrick's left eye that was instantly fatal. The bullet dramatically exited the back of the outlaw's head and embedded in the wall of the baggage car. As one witness put it, Kilpatrick never knew what hit him, the element of complete surprise. With that single shot, the second robber was eliminated with tactical precision, and one of the last violent chapters of the American Wild West was written. The train finally continued at 5 a.m., several hours behind schedule. But there was an alarming discovery yet to come. The robbers had carried 6 sticks of dynamite and a bottle of highly unstable nitroglycerin, indicating potential for a much more destructive outcome had their original plan proceeded. When the train reached Sanderson Station, the bodies were formally unloaded and, in keeping with the macabre practices of the era, propped up for grisly photographs, visual proof of their demise for authorities and a stark demonstration of consequences for potential criminals. Trousdale's extraordinary heroism received formal recognition. Wells Fargo awarded him a substantial $1,000 reward, unusually generous by company standards. The Southern Pacific Railroad added a significant $500 reward. Grateful passengers even donated a commemorative gold medal. Trousdale was elevated to hero status in both company and public perception. The event that occurred on Friday, March 13, 1912, ironically an unlucky date for the robbers, definitively marked the end of the train robbery era on the Sunset Route. It represented a closing chapter in a particular form of frontier crime and symbolized the transition from the lawless frontier to a more civilized era. Join my Patreon community and discover my art print products on my website in the links provided in my description and link above. Also, if you would like a particular image from my videos, give the timestamp for image, and I will upload it to my website and Patreon. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest story. Check out my large catalog of Southwest videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. If you like a certain image from my videos, tell me in comments and give timestamp. Happy trails. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.